Yes, now it's okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think there was some technical glitch. So what I was saying that we all are hoping and optimistic that soon the things will get normal. So now we would like to start this webinar today. I would like to invite Mr. Vivek Agarwala, who is the chairman for International Affairs Committee of Africa for PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to give the inaugural address.
Thank you, Naveenji. Distinguished guests and learned audience, members of PhD Chamber and Industry, members from across the globe, representatives from the press and media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you.
Thank you.
On behalf of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I would like to welcome you all for the GRACE Virtual Expo and Conference 2020, an interactive session on challenges and opportunities for real international real estate investments post-COVID-19. This is a very interesting subject. In fact, last 2 days, we have seen a lot of activity in this webinar, and I'm sure real estate is very close to the hearts of all the Indians, and Indians are looking actively to invest. So this is the right time we are having this webinar on the real estate. As we start, allow me to express my heartfelt appreciation to all our sponsors, starting from Davies and Associates, CMB Regional Centers, Pine State Regional Center as the EB5 partners, our exhibiting partners Range Development, Mayfim Property Thailand, Leptos Estates, Savills Property Services India Private Limited, Berkeley Group, Altera Citizen, Benham and Reeves, Ziphias Immigration Private Limited. We are also thankful to our conference partners, Messrs. Arton Capital, Demac Properties, Passport Legacy, along with Invest in the USA, IIUSA, Ajmera Law Group, Krypton Global Investment, 360 Realtors, and our institutional partner is the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. Thanks for extending your support in organizing this interactive session on the much talked about subject in the current market scenario. Asia is quickly closing on the gap on Europe, and it is predicted that by 2024, it will be the world's second largest wealth hub with a 5-year forecast growth of 44%. A resident individual is permitted to use the annual LRS limit to invest in foreign companies through which they can also purchase property abroad. Investment by an individual in a foreign company is subject to certain additional conditions. But here I think in LRS we can also invest directly in properties. Indian residents are investing in international properties for appreciation in value and use or rental earnings. Stability of the Indian rupee and the relaxation of RBI rules permit Indian residents to invest overseas and have further created an investment climate favorable for international real estate. Indian residents are able to purchase property abroad through a number of different routes. Each of these routes is subject to different legal conditions and has different tax implications, both in India and the foreign country. Purchasing property abroad therefore requires a certain amount of structuring to ensure that the foreign property investments are both legal and tax efficient. Indian investment in property overseas is becoming increasingly common these days. The trend owes much to the fact that overseas property has now become much more affordable for Indians. Many Indians finding their families scattered across the globe, many Indians also buying properties abroad in order to visit them regularly and easily. 29 years since the liberalization of the Indian economy in 1991, there has been a clear uptake in the inflow of foreign investments into India. Simultaneously, more and more Indians are seeking to expand their horizons and make investments outside the country. At the end, I'll not like to take much of the time, and I would like to request and recommend all investors to practice due diligence before making any decision regarding taking up international investments in the international real estate market. As PhD Chamber of Commerce, an industry shall not be liable for any decision or action taken by you based on your relying on the information provided by the presenter panelist during the GRE virtual conference. With this, I'll take your leave and I leave it on the experts from the industry to take things further in explaining the benefits of different options available in different parts of the world. Thank you all, and I wish you all a fruitful and a meaningful deliberations today. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless us all. Thank you, Naveenji.
Thank you very much, Chairman Sir, for the address and also setting the agenda for today's webinar. So just to take this further, I would like to introduce the panelists we have today with us. So we have with us Ms. Shweta Jain, the Managing Director, Residential Services, Savills, India. She will be the moderator for this session. So just to give you a little brief about Shweta ji. So she is based in Delhi in her capacity of Head and Managing Director, Savills Property Services India Private Limited. And she also takes care of the direct and overseas operations of residential services in Savills. In all, she has 20 plus years of experience in the real estate. Prior to Savills, she was heading residential business in Cushman and Wakefield, India. The other panelist we have with us is Ms. Mona Jalota. She is the founder and managing director of Krypton Global Investments. Prior to launching Krypton Global Investment, she was the Director International and NRI Residential Services at Colliers International, and previous to that, Director International Project Marketing at Knight Frank, India. She is an INSE AD alumni with over a decade of expertise in sales, marketing, and strategy in local and international real estate markets. She has won several awards and have worked with some of the top developers across the globe, connecting them to the Indian audiences intelligently. So welcome, Ms. Mona.
Welcome.
We have with us Mr. Syed Irshad Rahman, who is the Assistant Vice President Sales with Damak. Thank you, Mr. Syed. We are having, earlier also you had joined us for another webinar which we did last month. So Mr. Irshad Rahman.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Now he's head of sales.
Yeah,
now he's head of sales.
Thank you so much for, it's a pleasure being here.
Yeah. So Irshad Rahman worked with top developers in Dubai for more than 15 years in Dubai real estate, and overall sales experience of 20 plus years. He's been handling multi-billionaire USD portfolios of clients from India, Europe, Africa, Far East, and other countries. Currently working with Damak Properties as head of sales. Damak Properties is a leading developer from Middle East based in Dubai. Damak is partners with Trump International Golf Clubs, Fendi Casa, Paramount Pictures, Versace, Cavalli. Welcome, Mr. Rahman.
Thank you so much.
We also have Mr. Yanis Paredes, the Business Development Manager overseas for Leptos Estates. He's a professional real estate expert from Cyprus real estate market with over 15 years of experience with top developers in Cyprus.
Thank you.
We also have Mr. UD Mapra, the Managing Director for NPI Group. UD was born and brought up in the South Mumbai, attending the prestigious Campion School. His Indian HNI networks and 20 years international property experience based out of Australia and Southeast Asia puts him in a unique position to assist Indian and international clients. Along with his wife Jenny, he is now based in Delhi. Welcome, sir. We also have Mr. Nicholas Spencer, the Business Development Manager for Berkeley Group. Since joining the Berkeley Group 2 years ago, Nicholas has overseen activity in Qatar, Turkey, and more recently, India. He has extensive experience of over 10 years within the London property market and represented other well-known entities such as JLL and Seven Capital. So these are the panelists with us. We also have Mr. Sahil Kapoor, who is the National Head Franchisee at 360 Realtors. So he will be speaking in the next session, which we have after this. So now I would like to hand it over to Ms. Shweta Jain to take this further. Ma'am, you need to unmute.
Thank you so much, Mr. Seth. Thank you for the warm welcome. And I'm delighted to be a part of today's panel discussion, our topic being challenges and opportunities for international real estate investments post-COVID-19. As a format, we have roughly about 50 odd minutes, and we will spend about 40 minutes picking up some key topics, and the topics would touch upon the buying behavior of resident Indians and international buyers pre and post-COVID, mainstream locations in key geographies for property purchase, market trends and current activity landscape, integration and adoption of technology post-COVID. For this discussion, I am happy to be with our esteemed panel, which includes Ms. Mona Jalota, Founding Principal, Cripitan Global Investment, Mr. Syed Irshad Rehman, Head of Sales, Damac Properties, Mr. Yanis Paredes, Business Development Manager, Lepton Estate, Mr. Yudhi, Managing Director, NPI Group, and Mr. Nicholas Spencer. A very warm welcome to you all.
Thank you.
It is interesting how owning international properties was aspirational just about a few years ago, and it was considered to be for a select few. The trend changed, and in recent years, we've seen interest and buying activity grow, where resident Indians across segments are now purchasing properties overseas. And what clearly has supported the cause is government policies like the liberalized remittance scheme and the limit of $250,000, which has made it easier for individuals to buy and own properties abroad. As a part of our discussion, it's going to be interesting to understand how the activity would pan out in the current landscape of COVID. Savills research following the lockdown has captured some interesting observations. And as businesses are reopening and market activity is resuming, and people are settling in the new normal, international real estate has started to show green shoots in activity. And in fact, certain geographies are witnessing higher activity as compared to last year, same time. Bearing this thought in mind, I will move to my first panelist, Ms. Mona Jalota. Mona, every individual has different choices, locations, preferences, and risk appetite. Can you please highlight some of the key demand drivers for overseas purchases? Are you seeing buying parameters change after an event like COVID? And also, do you see allegiance to specific geographies, and which would these geographies be? Over to you.
Hi, Shweta. Good to be on the panel with you. So I'll approach your question in there are three different questions. So let me begin with the first. The key demand drivers for the longest period of time were, parents looking at securing their children's future, children who are going abroad to study. For the longest of time, that used to be the key demand driver. We had far and few in between cases where somebody had a large corporation abroad and they wished to own their own space instead of staying in a hotel, or somebody looking only for investment. These used to be cases rarely happening. Majority used to be people wanting to invest in different markets because the children intended to go and study there. The last couple of years, that trend has changed. Now, alternate investments and diversification has become a very popular trend and a topic which most of my HNI clients, or most of any HNI clients, are very actively looking towards. They've seen the markets, how they've performed, how the currencies have performed. The trend here now is shifting from children going abroad to let's invest overseas, let's diversify our portfolio, let's get the benefit of having our investments in various currencies. Now the impact of COVID. So initially people would look just before COVID, which is in March. In fact, March, I was in UK for almost 21 days, where majority of the client site visits and what we were doing in the UK were basically investment properties. People, even the mid-income level people who who wanted to first time try diversifying, they were keen to look at things like students accommodation or care homes, which are more affordable and offer higher returns. Fast forward to today, we are sitting in August, and people are now looking at investing larger sums overseas. And the question they are asking is not what kind of return I'm going to get. The question now that is being asked is, Does my investment in property bring me a PR, or does it bring me a way to migrate to that particular country? So that is the change I have noticed in inquiries coming as far as real estate and property goes. And the second part of your question was what geographies are more popular in India and where do the allegiances lay? That depends culturally. If you see pan-India, US, UK will always continue to be the bread earners for consultants like me and for companies like ours. UK, US continue to be the most popular markets all across India. If you go further north, in the northern belt, we've seen Canada, Australia, and New Zealand pick up a lot of interest as well. Thailand is very, very popular in the north. If you go down more south, you'll see Southeast Asia, Malaysia, UAE, Middle East. These markets perform very well down south. So depending on which part of India we look at, different markets have different appeals. But if you were to ask me on a pan-India level, definitely UK and US really are front runners, and Australia is catching up fast as well.
This is extremely insightful, Mona. And what I pick up from you is that the education trend is also now gradually moving to diversification and investment.
Yeah.
And which is good news because it's creating that many more avenues for all stakeholders. And I will now just move to Nick. Nick, you being, you represent one of the leading developers in London. And our research indicates that London remains an indisputable choice, and the same is being said by Mona as well, for international buyers. It'll be interesting to get your views as a developer as to why London is so sought after. And also talk to us with reference to Indian buyers.
Yes, thanks, Shweta. I think for most people, if not all people, London, the UK as a whole is viewed as a bit of a safety deposit box. It's sort of over the course of the last sort of 5 decades or so, 50 odd years, it's created a reputation for security and stability and being a consistent performer. And that's fueled largely by this sort of inherent imbalance of supply and demand. So when you sort of put everything together, it creates this sort of solid option for people to approach. And then it's sort of compounded further by the likes of, financial hubs, business hubs, cultural, historical values as well. And as you touched upon a moment ago, the educational institutions are rife in London. So from an Indian perspective, especially, that's one of the key drivers and one of the trends that we've picked out.
Right. Yes, I agree. In fact, I think London does attract a number of Indian students, and that's also been our own experience in terms of the activity being driven from India. Yudi, I'll put up a question to you now. Thailand has been a key travel destination for Indians, and especially with ease like visa on arrival. Have you also seen tourism attraction translating into Indians wanting to purchase properties in Thailand? And what kind of buying activity have you seen from Indians and any particular trend post-COVID?
Sure. Thanks, Shweta. Yes, definitely. So the amount of tourists that are now visiting Thailand, especially from India, it's grown significantly. 2019 saw a significant jump by Indian tourists visiting Thailand. And because of the reasons that you mentioned, it's ease of the visa on arrival. There are close to 300 flights that are directly, that directly go to Thailand from India. So what we have actually found is where the price point is for Thailand as well. It's a third of the price of Goa. If you actually compare Thailand to especially North Goa, it's a fraction of the cost of buying a property there. And we've had a lot of interest, especially up here in the north. As you know, we're active in Delhi and also in Punjab. We've got an office in Mohali. And the activity there is from people that are looking for family-friendly destinations in Thailand, where they can go with cousins, with friends, with their extended families and spend time there. So that's where Thailand has been actually very popular for us.
Right. And any particular destinations which you've seen in Thailand which have been looked up?
Yes. Oh. So I was just going to say, yes, we're focusing on Rayong. The reason we're in Rayong is because Rayong is family friendly. The tourist population in Rayong, they're largely from Europe, from Scandinavia. And if you go to Rayong, you'll see even late at night, there are families there on beaches. And that's the inquiry that we're getting, because it's largely the family buyers that are buying there. They want to go somewhere where they can feel secure, walk around at night. So Rayong is the destination that we're focused on, the pristine beaches, and it's a nice place for families to visit there and feel comfortable, feel settled.
Okay, thank you so much, Yudi. Mr. Rahman, DAMAC is one of the largest developers in Middle East, and you have a diverse portfolio spanning across segments. I'm also aware that you have a dominant sales platform for Indian buyers. Can you please talk to us about the key reasons that have driven Indians to look at properties in Middle East? And what do you think has been the biggest takeaway during an adversity like COVID for DAMAC?
Hi, good afternoon all. Thank you so much for inviting me to this forum. The biggest, one of the main reasons people they buy properties in Dubai are, like, for example, they want to have a residency outside India. So one of the key reasons they buy a property is for the visa residency in Dubai, which is UAE. Dubai is a tax-free country where you don't pay taxes. And the most important is the return of investment. Even today in the market, we see a return of 6 to 8% on your capital. So that attracts a lot of investors from all over the world. And a lot of Indians, they prefer to keep a house, especially the higher middle class and also the rich people. It's more like owning a trophy in Dubai. So a lot of investors, they do come here to look at multiple type of investments, different range of property portfolios. Dubai is always a favorite destination for a lot of Indians from a long time. And our company, DAMAC, is quite known for, building the most iconic towers in Dubai. Whether it's a high-rise or a villa community or a trunk golf course, we are known for it. So apart from that, I personally feel that one of the main reasons to be in Dubai is the security. Right. Money cannot buy a security. Dubai is one of the most secure city in the world. So it's a modern city. It's a brand new city. Expo is coming up next year, which got postponed due to COVID-19. So all these factors are making Dubai a very good and safe place for investment. So when you invest in Dubai, you get your residency. Today, we have the best schools in Dubai. The medical facilities in Dubai are top of the world. Plus the lifestyle you get in Dubai are very, if you compare to any other city in the world, it's very rare. So any given time, Dubai is one of the top favorites to own a property. The reason is being security, safety, plus your ROI. Coming back to your question about COVID-19. Now, the COVID-19 has seen an entire new lifestyle where we never used to be at home and work from home. We started working from home. We started having the site visits through the virtual tours, which is very rare for us. We have never done it before, so we started doing it. We started selling properties by showing all the videos of the property, which used to do it before, but obviously there used to be a human touch all the time. But this time, we closed deals by sitting at home, by having a virtual tours of the clients. Now, soon after the lockdown, we have seen a huge demand for the villas, especially in Dubai, because now people realize that they have to spend most of the time within their apartments or a limited space they have it. So people who can afford are looking forward to, move into a bigger space where it can be a villa or a townhouse with some extra space. So these are the few important things. Now, lately, since we don't have many tourists visiting Dubai at this point of time because of the restrictions about travel, there are a lot of people who are in a line to buy a property. They started buying here because of some fantastic deals in the market, and the banks are giving at a very low mortgage rates. So we have seen a tremendous improvement towards the villa sales and townhouses in last 2 months. And I hope this will continue as well, inshallah. Most probably the demand will get better once we have the tourist starts coming, who mainly buys the apartments, hotel apartments, and different investments in Dubai.
Right. So just to go back to your point on residency, I mean, I think this is of immense interest to most Indians. Can you just tell us a little more about, what would be the process if one wants to take a residency?
See, there are a couple of criteria for residency of Dubai. You have to buy a ready property worth 1 million dirham, which approximately $275,000. In Indian currency, it will be probably like 2 crores.
Right.
Now, once you own a property of 2 crore rupees in Indian currency, you will be getting a title deed. With the title deed, you can have a residency for you and your wife and children below 18 years.
Okay.
Now, once you are a resident, then you can, go for an admission for your school for your kids. You can open a bank account. You own properties here, so you become a resident of Dubai.
Right.
Very simple.
And any special benefits accrue as a part of the residency?
The benefits, as I said, you will first of all, being a resident, you'll be entitled to open the bank account here, which without a residency is not possible currently. Plus, your driving licenses, your cars, except the work-wise. In Dubai, if you want to work, you have to have a work visa. But apart from that, you will have access to everything.
Okay. So I will also just add to the point that you made on Dubai being one of the key, cities for people looking to buy in UAE. Savil's latest report on Prime World City Index states that Dubai is one of the most affordable prime residential markets at an average $560 per square feet. And I think this is perhaps another reason that explains the traction from Indian buyers.
Absolutely. If you compare the properties today in Dubai, it's quite affordable compared to other major big cities in the world. Dubai properties are very luxuriously built with all the amenities of a 5-star hotel, which is very rare if you go to Europe. But mainly, you get a very good property. I can say half the price of Bombay, what you pay in Dubai in a very good location.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Mr. Yanis, we'll just talk a little bit about the Cyprus citizenship. That's one of the easiest to acquire. And I also reckon that a lot of the investment that we are seeing from international buyers could be Indians as well in Cyprus is on the back of the Golden Visa program. What kind of traction have you seen from Indian buyers and any change post-COVID?
Good afternoon to all of you. Answering your first question about the Cyprus citizenship, of course, it's one of the quickest and easier way to get a European passport. There are many countries that they are offering, but Cyprus gives the easiest way to gain a European passport. It's taking only 6 months. The important part about Cyprus is that you investing in real estate. With something real, it's something that is growing. You are not losing your money. You don't have to open companies to risk. You're investing in real estate, commercial or residential. As a group of companies, we can offer a huge range of properties to our clients, which is the important thing. It's not just, let's say, a mixed-use developer. We offer villas, large-scale developer like high-rise buildings for the whole family. Cyprus citizenship attracts not only non-Europeans, but lately attracts a lot of Europeans as well. Even Indians having a UK passport, they are looking for Cyprus residency for tax purpose, which is the important part for the most of the high net worth individuals. They are looking to secure their wealth.
Right.
The Cyprus passport covers the whole family. It's not just for the couple. It's covering the kids until 28 years old, which that means it's something that can cover 3 generations, including main applicant parents. They have the benefit in 5 years' time to liquidate their money, so they can put the properties back to the market and sell them, and just keep $500,000 property for life time. They cannot sell. If they are selling the whole portfolio, they are losing their citizenship immediately.
Okay. this is good to know. And I suppose the investment can be either in residential or commercial, or is it restricted to residential?
No. They can invest in real estate. That means even residential or commercial properties. But always they have to invest €500,000 as a permanent residence to a residential property.
Okay.
To apply for passport.
Okay. Thank you so much. Nick, I'll come back to you once again. And, it'll be good to understand the UK market landscape currently. We've seen, as we understand from Savil's research, we've seen both queries and buyer registrations have gone up as compared to the same time last year. Is this right? And your views on this?
Yeah, I'd echo that sentiment, absolutely. What we've witnessed over the course of the last 4 months is by no means a drop-off in appetite or demand, but we've sort of found ourselves in a little bit of a Mexican standoff. It hasn't been a market drop, it's been a market stagnation, really. And what we've seen is just this sort of continued pent-up demand. And just prior to the start of this webinar, I was having a quick chat with some of the other panelists about what we're seeing, and the missing ingredient for us really at the moment is travel routes. As soon as people can freely travel into the UK, we strongly expect a lot of that pent-up demand to start turning into transactions. So the sooner that happens, the better. I'm currently based in Dubai, but we're getting on a plane next week to go and service some of these clients that are starting to make the step of getting into London to explore the opportunities that have been on offer. But naturally, the market has been suppressed over the course of this period, and people are looking to take advantage of that. I think they're coming with different parameters. They're going to be targeting slightly different types of stock and investments, but from our perspective, it's the completed stock that people are now going to be targeting. The opportunities that they can transact on immediately, they can see it, they can touch it, they can take advantage of what they see and understand now. And also from a development perspective, that's where we're able to offer the best deals, as it were, for lack of a better description. And I know that's a poignant subject for a lot of international purchasers at the moment who are looking to get their foot in international markets, especially London.
Yeah, so also, do you think that the reduction in stamp duty has contributed towards the sale activity?
Yes, absolutely. Whether you're a foreign or domestic purchaser, you're going to benefit from that £15,000 worth of relief. I think we've seen it especially in the lower end of the domestic market, but as I mentioned a moment ago, we have seen an uptick in people targeting completed stock, and that's naturally linked to the stamp duty relief that we're seeing at the moment. That runs out in March 31st. So there's been a little bit of a surge of inquiries, really. And I think that's also fueled people's passion to try and get into the UK market over the course of the coming months to try and take advantage of that.
Yes, I agree. Also, in your, giving your experience where you have been looking after the India market now for some time, can you just recommend a few locations which could be, which could befit an Indian sensibility?
I think naturally when people think of the London markets, like bees to honey, they're drawn to Zone 1. It's where all the landmarks are based. It's where the most attractive, sexiest properties are. But truth be told, Berkeley Group as a developer are specialists at placemaking. So that DNA that goes into all of our Zone 1 developments is also echoed into all of our sort of Zones 2, 3, and 4 developments as well. And frankly speaking, the best opportunities that we have as a group to offer at the moment in terms of low entry points, higher yields, greater margin for capital appreciation are probably in our developments that are based in zones sort of 2, 3, and 4, arguably, where they're benefiting from direct connectivity into the centre of London, but fundamentally a lower entry point, which is, as I said, key for capital appreciation and higher yields. So the likes of maybe Beaufort Park, which is in Zone 4, North London, entry price there just under £400,000 for a studio. You can get into the centre of London within 20 minutes from that sort of location. If we go West London, again, Zone 4, we've got the likes of Southall Waterside, which is a brand new regeneration development. the Crossrail network is going to take people into central London there within 15 minutes. So, yeah, entry price for these particular developments is much lower than central London, and that increases your opportunity for capital appreciation, which ultimately is the performing value of the London market. You know, we can't compete with the likes of Dubai when it comes to yield, but over a long period of time, we offer security and that long-term performance, which is what people benefit from.
Is it correct to say that once you go a little off central London, the rental yields do improve?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, in central London, you're looking at yields in the region of sort of 2.5% to 3%. If you go out to zones 3 and 4, you're looking at around sort of 4 to maybe 4.5% if you get the right type of unit at the right price. So you're doubling your yield effectively. And as I said, you're also doubling your margin and opportunity for capital appreciation, which is the fundamental performing indicator of the UK market.
Right. No, thank you so much, because Indians, our domestic markets in terms of the rental returns, we have dismal rental returns. So if there are superior rental returns in markets like, if you go a little away from central London, then that's definitely a very compelling proposition. And thank you so much for this. Yudi, what would be your advice for a first home buyer seeking options in Thailand? And which kind of locations and what kind of properties? It is also a holiday home destination, and as per Savills research, Thailand leads the bandwagon in Asia Pacific for branded residences. My question to you is, have you seen Indians showing preference for branded residences as well?
We've actually seen Indians, the Indians that we've seen that travel to Thailand, because we actually get a lot of inquiry from people that have been to Thailand often, and now they're now thinking about owning a home in Thailand. For us, a lot of the main things that people look for when they're buying is obviously what they can get for their money. So we've actually got properties that range from, say, so roughly 36 lakh Indian rupees up to about 55 lakh. So in terms of a price point, it's actually very desirable for Indian buyers. But then we also get the same questions about the return on investment when the property is not being used by the purchaser. And the good thing about Thailand is when Nicholas spoke about the return on investment, and Thailand offers a very high return on investment as well. So our developers, so when the buyer is not living in the apartment or is not on holidays, they do rent the apartments out, and the rental return there is 7 to 9%. So it is quite a high return on investment. So that's one of the main drivers that we get because it actually ticks 2 boxes. So they've got a holiday home that they can use anytime that they like. And when they're not using the property itself, it's actually a very good return on investment compared to when you look at India. I mean, Bombay, Delhi, we're looking at 2.5% return on investment. So a lot of buyers are now also thinking, rather than buying a first property in Bombay, they're thinking, I could actually establish myself with a property in Thailand first, use it for myself as well, and get a high return on investment. So that's the main sort of driver that we do get from Indian buyers that are looking at Thailand. It's mainly price and then the return on investment.
Right. And the return on investment that you referred to, is that largely for the branded residences, or is that across properties?
Look, it's across properties. The branded residences obviously do have that name, and it's probably a little bit easier, but it's actually across properties. So we've actually got properties that are right on the beach, properties where when you open the front gate, you're pretty much stepping out into the sand. Now, those are a little bit more expensive, so the return on investment is probably going to be around the 5 to 6%. But if you were to go one street back or just cross the road behind the shopping centre, properties there do rent for around the sort of 8 to 9%, because obviously they're at a significantly lower price point. So that's.
And as an international buyer, how easy would it be to kind of manage the whole process of buying and then renting?
It's
on this, yeah.
Yeah, the buyer themselves don't really need to do anything at all. It is actually managed by professional property management teams at the location that they buy. There is obviously a fee attached to that, but at 6 or 7% fee to manage a property, it actually makes sense to leave that to the experts. They're the ones that look after the maintenance of the property, handing the keys out, if they are getting short-term, tenants there as well. So after paying the fees of 6 to 7%, you're looking at 7 to 9% return on investment. So it's not tricky at all, managing it from India.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we are a little sort of running out of time. I have a question, Mr. Rahman, quickly for you. And this is with reference to a motivated international Indian buyer. Which type of property would you recommend and in which location? And once again, Dubai has is listed as a in the on the scene of branded residences. It's taking a new position. Do you think that's something that Indians will want to look out for?
Mute.
Mr. Rahman, can I ask you to unmute, please?
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
All right. I would recommend few properties which which is in line with your question about the branded properties. We have one of our flagship project by name the Mac Hills. It's a huge project which is of almost 1,000 acres. In that we have the Trump International Golf Course. We also coming up with a Radisson Hotel. We have the villas which are designed by Paramount Hotels. We also have a Kawali in another project which is Akoya Oxygen. And also with the Tiger Woods. Now, these are the brands are currently working with DAMAC. So basically, the designing is being done by these brands. People, any given time, people, they prefer to buy something which is branded than unbranded, but we also have a DAMAC branded. So let's keep it as both. One is DAMAC branded, the other one is the international brand. It's the synergy of both the companies. So we always see a big demand for any property which is with a brand. We recently acquired Roberto Cavalli as well as a company. So that is another feather in a cap. The returns are definitely better than any other unbranded property, I would say, which can be anything between 1.5% on your annual return. We are also branded with some projects with Fendi. The designs are being done by Fendi Casa. So that is another very good project to buy in Dubai. So we have a combination of villas, apartments, townhouses. These are the main, lucrative investments. Currently, we have it in a portfolio. So I recommend anything out of it, which is as per your budget, as per your, the payment plans or mortgages, you can buy any of these.
Mr. Rahman, indeed, very, very luxurious and exciting to hear about. I think, in the interest of the time, I'll just move on to my last question. And Mona, this is to you. One unintended, actually the last topic, not the last question. So Mona, one unintended consequence of COVID-19 has been increased adoption of technology. Do you believe if technology is integrated across transaction value chain, it can assist with transaction volumes in medium to long term?
Yeah, Shweta, I'm a big believer in prop tech. We recently did a webinar where, people were amazed at the kind of leaps and bounds technology has, risen to and how it has adapted to this pandemic that we all are going through. I don't think a couple of months ago, we would have thought that we'll be doing these virtual exhibitions and doing Zoom seminars. And, this is the new normal. So I definitely feel that technology is going to be the key. It's going to be the bridge that allows an investor sitting in any part of the world to culminate a transaction right from inception to completion without leaving the privacy of their homes. So definitely technology is going to play a major part, and PropTech is going to be the next big thing to rely on as far as real estate transactions go. So I definitely feel, yes, technology is here to stay. And the sooner we adapt to it, the HNIs always wanted that kind of luxury to be sitting in their own home and making such decisions. I'm not saying it would replace the physical site visit where you actually touch and feel the walls of the asset you're going to buy and the vibes that you get from it. But people are adapting. Things are changing very, very fast. So I feel that the day is not very far enough where somebody would use the technology on a platform to not only choose, but also to visit, understand the transaction, do the legalities, do the formalities, and do an online purchase.
Yes, I agree. Nick, the question is to you. In real estate, has been a late adopter of tech. And as Mona said, there is lots that's happening now in the PropTech side. But as a developer, what are what are some of the challenges that you are facing currently? Because it has been reliant on physical interactions largely. So areas like site visits, and how are you overcoming these challenges?
Yeah, well, I think to echo Mona's sentiments, really, it's been a vertical learning curve for a lot of people within our sector. But the fact that we're hosting an expo like we are at the moment virtually is a testament to how quickly we can adapt. And it's been exactly the same for us in the UK, in all of our marketing suites. We're on reduced staff members. We're sort of scaling back the amount of human interaction, and we're swapping that to these virtual tours. Everything is going digital. I mentioned earlier that people can't travel from India to the UK freely at the moment. So we're doing our best to bring our developments to them in the comfort of their living rooms. Everything from a high level, zoning into the master plan, zoning into the building, and then ultimately into the specific unit that suits and meets the requirement. And we've got around 60 developments within our portfolio, 30 of which are in London and Greater London, 30 of which are outside London, and just about all of them have that functionality to bring the development to the living room of the prospective purchaser that we're dealing with, enabling them ultimately to make a more informed decision and continue to progress their interest levels.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick. I'll just move to Mr. Rahman, because Mr. Rahman, you have one of the largest portfolios in Dubai, and what is it that you are doing on the tech side to minimize the disruption?
Sorry, come again?
I'm saying, what steps is DAMAC taking to minimize the current disruption with the large portfolio that DAMAC has?
Disruptions in terms, see, the sales are quite okay at the moment. The portfolios we have, it is mainly about the ready properties. So
right.
We are not facing any challenges at the moment in terms of sales, because people are buying these properties with the mortgages available in the market.
Right.
Off-plan properties are being sold mostly to the people who are visiting Dubai or the residents who want to buy at a convenient payment plan. So we are also working on it. Currently, we also have some really good payment plans which go to 2 to 3 years. Some of them are even post-completion. So we are very positive at the moment, because this pandemic is more like a ripple effect on our properties. Is going to get better because people realize the way Dubai has tackled the corona thing. When the whole world was closed, Dubai was active. We had a very short lockdown in Dubai. People are feeling safe. The government is very proactive. We fully trust the authorities here. So the whole country has done a great job. So the overall confidence in Dubai has increased in UAE. People are feeling more safe here. So definitely this will bring a lot of clients to Dubai across India, Asia, Europe, America. So I've seen some new countries also coming up here very soon to invest. So this is going to be a very positive sign. And we are very positive in terms of us.
Nick referred to 3D walkthroughs and some other initiatives which developers are adopting. Has DAMAC also taken up some specific initiatives on the tech front?
Yeah, we have a project called a la carte, which is available online. It's an off-plan property. For ready properties, we can take always the entire video and send it. But for the off-plan, we have the locations, everything on a virtual tour. You can see it and you can buy it online. So we are pretty much there.
Okay. Thank you so much. Mr. Yanis, any thoughts for the panel and audience on how real estate sector can better adopt technology?
Excuse me, I cannot hear you very well.
My question was that any thoughts for all of us in terms of how technology can be better adopted in real estate?
Of course, the technology give us different tools to promote our properties, especially under this pandemic, because it's a worldwide crisis. New digital ways, webinars like now, we bring the properties into our client's house, walkthroughs, 3D videos of our projects. It's make our life much easier, especially the late 2-3 months, which the most of our investors are investing through their house. They are not even coming to Cyprus. So the technology, I think, release our hands, because we cannot travel, we cannot participate to a real exhibition, we cannot meet our clients to their countries.
Right.
So it's giving us the tools to continue what we are doing so far.
Right. Great. No, well said. And I will now go to Yudi. Yudi, as an independent consultant, what would your thoughts be? Are you seeing any new initiatives being taken by the Thailand developers, and anything that you would like to let the panel know and the audience know?
Yeah, Shweta, we are. I mean, it's, I think before this entire pandemic started, we found that most of our prospective buyers just prefer to buy to Thailand because it's a short flight away, it's relatively cheap. But because of what's happened since mid to late March, we've had to sort of improve visibility for buyers electronically, and we largely use WhatsApp. Which might surprise a few people on the panel, but our developer regularly uploads videos. We do walkthroughs because we do have completed projects, walkthroughs of the actual project, the apartment as well. If there's a specific apartment that the buyer is looking at, we're not afraid to sort of get onto the phone with them on a WhatsApp video call and sort of walk them around the apartment and show them the actual apartment that they're going to see. And that's and that has actually worked quite well for us, because I think the being able to communicate with the buyer while you're walking around the actual apartment does help. And I think our developers on the phone there as well. So if they've got any questions for him, they can speak to him directly as well. So it actually builds a bit of a personal relationship with the developer as well.
Right. And do you see Indian buyers specific? And right now the question is specifically for Indian buyers. But do you see Indian buyers taking decisions to buy properties without actually physically looking at the properties? Do you think that could happen?
Look, very honestly, no. We are getting deposits into our bank account here, but in terms of actually signing on the dotted line, we're finding that a lot of people are saying, look, it's about to open up. A lot of people felt that, start of August, things would open up. So we've had people place holds in apartments. We're actually working with them in doing that. But look, the honest answer is no. We're actually finding people still saying, let's see what happens. Now, if the pandemic stretches past 2020, I'm sure people will look at getting a bit braver. But right now, Shweta, no. Right now, people are still saying, ideally, we'd still want to go and have a look at it.
Okay. Thank you, Yudi. I think we've now neared our time, so I would just close the discussion here. And just to, I would say that fortune favors the brave. And while we are in uncertain times, but the future definitely looks promising and could potentially surprise us on the upside. And we are already seeing that in certain markets. I'm delighted that we had a productive conversation in the panel here. And I would like to thank my fellow panelists for a lot of insightful information. And we'll also like to thank PhD Chambers for this wonderful platform. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shweta-ji, for moderating this session, and thank you all the panelists for sharing your views. It was really enlightening to hear all the experts talking on that. And we have a couple of questions from the audience, because as of now, I can see around 180 people are there in the audience. So I have the questions. If you allow me, I'll just take up the question. One of the gentlemen wants to know, what are the tax considerations of investing in UK and Cyprus? So I will request if you can revert on that.
Do you want me to take that, Naveenji?
Mona, yes.
Yeah, please, Monaji.
Yes.
So tax considerations in various countries differ depending on what property you choose to buy, at what level you choose to buy, whether you're a first-time home buyer, whether you're venturing out, is it a corporate investment, is it a personal investment? The point here is to understand taxation of each country with a relevant tax consultant, and also to figure out which countries have a double taxation treaty with India. So if you asked about UK has a double tax avoidance treaty with India. So in a nutshell, whatever taxes you pay, depending upon your situation of purchase, you can get an offset on your Indian, the taxes you pay in India. Similarly for Cyprus, my suggestion to the person who's asked the question is, don't look at the local taxes at the onset. Look at what taxes first you need to pay in India before figuring out what are the taxes that you need to pay in an international jurisdiction, because that's dependent on many factors. So it can't be a general answer to this.
Excuse me, can I
Please
answer that question? It's very clear. As you mentioned before, a lot of countries, they have a tax agreement, double tax treaty with India. Cyprus and UK is a part of that. So if you have to be a tax resident somewhere, you cannot be a nomad. So if you're paying your taxes in UK or in Cyprus, you don't have to pay taxes in any other countries. Cyprus has a benefit that we have the 60 days not domiciled tax resident. So living in Cyprus with only 60 days, you can be taxed a full tax resident of Cyprus. Even if you are earning in India or in UK or any other European country, you have to pay your tax somewhere. This is it's clear for a lot of high net worth individual worldwide. That's why before I told you that a lot of even Europeans, citizens, they prefer Cyprus to be their tax hub because it's a tax-friendly country worldwide. And a lot of Indians lately, they move their tax residency to Cyprus. It's something, it's not simple, of course. Indian authorities, they have to accept and approve your movement to any other area to become a tax resident, but it's something that is doable, of course.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rahman, the next question is for you. How will you finance the purchase in Dubai? Is there a possibility of mortgage loan?
Yes, there are mortgages available. If you are a resident, you can get up to 80%. If you are a non-resident, you can get up to 50%. So the procedure is very simple. Any UAE local bank which is approved by the developer can apply as long as we get the right documents.
I'd just like to add in a point here, Naveenji. As far as Indian citizens go, please be extremely cautious when you are looking at getting mortgages overseas. RBI specifically prohibits an Indian individual from taking a mortgage for an overseas asset acquisition. There are some, of course, some aspects that you can use to get a mortgage, but please take proper advice from your legal and your tax consultant on this.
But hi, sorry to interrupt, Mona, but I haven't across any issues so far.
That may be your personal experience. That may be your personal experience, Mr. Rahman. But definitely the Indian law states very categorically that an Indian citizen cannot take a mortgage for an acquisition of an overseas property. And as a consultant, we always have to advise our clients to be on the right side of the law. There are ways you can get a mortgage, but there are structures that need to be formed. So I today, being just an individual buyer, cannot go and say, hey, I'm purchasing in London, I want a mortgage. RBI specifically prohibits that. So I would once again request the clients to take proper legal and tax advice before they decide on a mortgage acquisition.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mona. I think a lot of people don't know this, and they do sort of apply for mortgages in personal names only because the mortgage companies in these countries are willing to give them a mortgage, but it is fraught with danger. So I think the right advice is suitable. It's necessary, really.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is it always advisable to set up a company to do an investment international to get some tax benefit? So this is, I think in general, I would request all the panelists to give their views on this. So we start with maybe Monaji with you.
Company formation, now here again it's a tricky question you've asked, because once again RBI completely prohibits you from forming a company simply for the purpose of acquiring an overseas property. A corporate structure, of course, can be formed, but it has to be a genuine corporate structure where there is business, genuine business happening. And in every jurisdiction, one has to see the differences between corporate taxation that a corporate structure attracts and the taxation that an individual buyer attracts. That differs geography to geography. Also, there are other structures like maybe a corporate company formation structure. Trust structure, formation of family trusts is becoming very popular now for global HNIs or Indians who intend to be global HNIs. But every structure comes with its own pros and cons. So you need to evaluate it with the right consultant.
Well, let me come in here because in Dubai it's a very straightforward process to open a company in a free zone, and then they can buy the properties. There are certain free zones which are allowed to own a property in Dubai. So any company which is registered in Jafza, they can own a property in Dubai. So it's not that complicated. Yes, as long as your statements, your bank's accounts are clear, there are no issues at all.
But that may be the case in Dubai, Mr. Rahman, for a Dubai citizen.
I'm just talking about Dubai only.
Yeah, for Indians, that's not the case. No, for Indian citizen, that's not the case. For an Indian citizen, even if he opens a company in a free trade zone in Dubai, he cannot open that company simply with the purpose of acquiring an overseas asset. It has to be a legitimate company involved in a legitimate line of business.
I'm talking about all these companies. These are legitimate companies. They are allowed to own a property. For example, if you have a company, this is an asset management oriented company back in India or any part of the world, you can register the similar company in any of the free zones here, which is allowed to own a property. So as I said, again, it's all case to case. There are no issues at all on opening a company in Dubai. It's very straightforward process. It takes 7 to 10 days time.
One more footnote I would like to add here is when you are purchasing a property in the company structure, as a company structure in any part of the world, you cannot derive rental income then from that property. That's another thing that an Indian buyer has to keep in consideration, that when you purchase a property using a company structure, the property has to be limited to the use of yourself or your company representatives or your employees. They can live there, you can own the property, but you cannot make money out of renting it. So again, please understand all these nuances before you choose a structure in which you want to make your own.
Well, again, I'd like to add something here. See, when you buy a property in Dubai, let's say you own a company in Dubai, right, which is an offshore company. Once you own the company, you become a resident of Dubai. So you don't have any issue at all because you get a residence visa. So getting an income from that property will not be an issue because...
even if they do become a resident,
yeah.
to jump in, it refers to where they are a tax resident. So
yes.
If income is in India, and if they're a tax resident in India, doesn't matter if they get residency in Dubai through acquiring property, they remain a tax resident of India.
No, but then once you spend 6 months in Dubai or any other international place, you become a non-resident. Then you're not liable for any taxes. Now, talking about the taxes, I mean, I'm not a accounts guy or a chartered accountant.
Yeah.
But what I know as a layman that once you own a property, you have 6 months. I think there is recently some new guidelines that has come regarding the residency. But as long as you spend 6 months in any country, let's say in UAE, you become a non-resident of India. Now, once you become a non-resident of India, I don't think you're liable for the taxes on the income which you're getting it in UAE. I'm talking about only UAE.
That's not true. That's not true, Mr. Rahman, because even if you are an NRI, let's look at the reverse. There are many international employees in India. Even if you have a British citizen who's living and working in India, he becomes a tax resident of India. Similarly, if an Indian is working and living abroad, as long as he's an Indian citizen, he's liable to all rules and regulations that apply to Indians. As far as the NRI goes, every year on year, if you meet the target of spending the 285 days or whatever other change days guidelines overseas, you need to maintain that year on year to maintain your NRI status. But even then, until and unless you revoke your citizenship of India and take a new citizenship of another country, all the rules and regulations that apply to Indian citizens still apply. So it doesn't matter if you are living 6 months in UAE or anywhere else. If you have purchased a property, coming back to Naveenji's question, if you've purchased a property in a corporate structure, there is going to be a tax, there is going to be taxes you need to consider, A. And B, please remember that you may not use this property to derive any rental income. You can, however, own it and use it for your own purposes and purposes of your employees.
So Nick, we would like to have your views as well on that.
I'm going to take a little bit of a backseat on this because I'm by no means a tax specialist, not to mention an Indian tax specialist. And my stance on this would be, seek professional advice, if not, the advice of your local agent in India. But one thing I would say from a developer's stance is have your ducks in a row before you come to us, because we've been approached by a number of purchasers recently who have said at the 11th hour, I want to purchase in a company structure, and logistically it just slows the whole process down and throws up a lot of curveballs before the process even gets underway. So as Mona said, seek the appropriate advice in advance of making a purchase. Once you've laid your foundations, know your position, then approach the developer, be it in Dubai, be it in the UK, be it in Timbuktu, but make sure your foundation is laid before you approach and get ready to make your purchase.
Shweta ji would like to hear from you as well. You need to unmute, ma'am. Shweta ji, you need to unmute.
Sorry. I'm saying as a retail buyer, what Mona has said is exactly what applies. RBI does not permit you to, open a company and buy a property. It cannot be a shell company. There has to be a legitimate purpose. So the property has to be purchased in the person's name. I mean, that's given. And the other thing, even on mortgage, as Mona said, very rightly said, the mortgage is not possible if you are going in as a retail buyer. So I think it's very, very important that whoever is considering to buy a property in a structure, then they need to definitely get their facts in place, appoint someone who can help them understand this better. And, because there are guidelines from RBI and one has to comply to that.
Okay. Mr. Yanis, any views from your side?
I just need to ask for one clarification here. Now,
Yeah,
when
please.
we say the mortgage, I'm talking about the mortgages from the UAE local banks. I'm not talking about the banks which are based in India.
So Indian banks, Mr. Rahman, are anyway not allowed to, but even for a UAE bank, similarly like for UK or US or any other jurisdiction, I know banks there are more than happy to offer mortgage to Indian buyers. But the issue is the Indian law does not allow us to take a mortgage, whether it is from an international bank or a local bank.
I think, Mr. Rahman, if you Google FEMA, and if you read the rules of FEMA, I think it becomes pretty evident, because we work in Australia a lot. And that's where I wanted to add that a lot of buyers that actually come to us, that come from the perspective of maybe looking at an investment in Australia or in London, and they feel that, they can actually get mortgages, and they think, okay, I can buy the property for 2.5 to 3 CR because I only have to borrow half. When we go through the entire process that's required, we generally find that they end up buying something completely opposite to what they initially came to us with, because a lot of the times they haven't been given the right information, and FEMA is actually very strict. And once you've investigated those, borrowing to buy is not as easy as it's made to sound.
And which is why I think the recent trend also that we've noticed is, and of course Nick is here, so he'll back me up on this. Many of us prefer working with properties that are not that high end, which can, come within your LRS remittances. And LRS is not less. I mean, if you are 4 members in a family, you have $1 million to spend every year overseas. So, we focus on the retail buyer needs to focus on a product that comes within his LRS allowances. And of course, the high-end buyer already has his structures and companies in place, so they can, then perhaps spread their wings, fly higher than the LRS norms. But a suggestion or a good tip for the retail buyers is when you're starting to invest overseas, be within your LRS norms to get a much more easier and a profitable and beneficial transaction done.
I think, Mona, the question here is about the attractive, interest, and that's the reason why many Indians get lured by the fact that, there's a possibility of raising a mortgage, which is not the case.
Yeah, Shweta, initially around 10 years ago when I started selling, this was the exact same pitch I used, that you're getting your mortgages at 1 or 2% or 3% and your rental returns are 6 to 8. So purchase overseas. It was after a lot of, wisdom that comes in with many, many years of doing this, that pitch was completely put in the background because it's simply not possible. So why think about it?
So Mr. Yanis, any views from you?
Say about it. It's very simple. Honestly, we have a huge experience, especially from Indians, to buy properties overseas. The most of the Indians that are investing right now, especially for citizenship, I'm not talking about residency or just investor. They have their money mainly in Dubai. Dubai for Indians is a big hub for the most of the businessmen. So investing in Cyprus or any other European country, for them, it's very simple. And it's not their first investment. This is what makes it different. People that they're investing right now in worldwide real estate, they are people that they have experience already. They already invest in UK, they invest in Dubai, they invest in Thailand, everywhere. So now we're talking about people that they just start up. We're talking about the middle class, which they cannot afford to buy a passport or a property in Mayfair. Like Mr. Nicholas mentioned before, with 3-4 million euros. They are looking for smaller investment, which is, as Ms. Mona said, less than $250,000, which is easy for them to transfer. And they are investing in mainly to big companies, which is they secure their transfer through the middle bank. It's not like before 10, 15 years. The international banking changed a lot, especially after 2009, after the big crisis. From 2009 until today, there are huge restrictions about international transfer. There are middle banks. There are too many documents to transfer even $10,000, not only $250,000 or even bigger amount. So people that they're looking to invest, we have the way. There are international audits, international lawyer firms, which they will give their experience to the clients. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Yanis, on that. And I think with this, all the questions which were there as of now, I think one more question I can see in the chat box. It says, settling down in Australia by any retired couple, what do you suggest and how it is possible? Is it through investment or through other methodology? Is possibility of settling down by investing towards guest home department for tourists possible?
UT, do you want to take that, or would you want?
Yeah, look, I could take that because I do specialize in Australia. But look, I'm actually here today on behalf of our Thailand developer. So Naveen, I'll stick with Thailand for today. So Mona, if you've got any information, please feel free to go for it. But Australia is quite tricky when it comes to PR.
Okay, so regarding settling down for a retired couple in Australia, I think it definitely has to be via the investment route. There is some age benefit that comes in, and there are some programs that they could explore. But for that, they'll need to get in touch with us. It's impossible to explain on this forum. But it's possible via investment for sure.
Okay.
Property investment.
Yeah, you wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
I was just going to say it's not via property investment. So you have countries like Cyprus, Greece, they have the scheme where you get permanent residency through property investment. That's not the case with Australia.
Yeah, there are other investment programs not related with property for Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much, all the panelists, for this session. Thank you, Shweta ji, for moderating this. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Mr. Rahman, Mr. Yanis, Mr. Yudi, Mr. Nick. Thank you very much for this. So now we have the next session where we have our three panelists. We have Mr. Mark von Grunder, the director, Benham and Reeves. We have Mr. Sahil Kapoor with us, who's the national head franchisee for the 360 degree. And we have with us Mr. Anupam Saxena, the Associate Dean and Director for RICS School of Built Environment. So we would like to start this session with Mr. Mark. Mr. Mark, are you there?
Sir, he's just getting in. There is some issue, I believe. Just a moment, sir.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Seth. I'm Anupam Saxena.
Yeah, Anupam ji, welcome. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Sahil, request if you can
Hi,
switch
Mark,
on your
can you hear
camera.
us? Mark, we are not able to hear you.
Thank you, Sahil. Mark, we are not able to hear you. I think there's some audio issue at your end. So friends, give us a minute. I think Mr. Mark is just joining in. Mr. Mark, can you hear us now?
Prashant, can you just check once, please, with Mark? Because
Yeah,
we could in fact see him.
Yeah, there was some technical error, so he's just relogging. Just give 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Saxena, it seems to be a tough day. In the morning, you must have completed all the examination for the PhD scholars, I believe.
We have got used to it now in the new normal. Every day is a tough day. We remember the old days; they were much better. But since things have become online, then you are working 24/7. I don't know about the others, but at least education has become 24/7.
That is the case everywhere. In fact, all the industries are actually following the same pattern.
Absolutely.
And Saxena ji, Mayank is one of the students, so he also appeared in the exam today.
Yes, I am aware, sir. I am aware. He's a student in my university only.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Sushant, is Mark able to join?
He's trying to do that. There's some technical error.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, he's just joined in now. Yeah.
Hi there. Really sorry.
Oh,
No,
perfect. Thank you very much, Mark, for joining. So,
Thank you.
friends,
Sorry.
I welcome you all on behalf of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And we start with the session with Mr. Mark von Grunder, the director for Benham and Reeves. Mr. Mark oversees the company's rentals operation as well as developing new business. Instrumental in the company's expansion, he works closely with Managing Director Anita Mehra to develop its core services and regularly speaks at property seminars, banking events, and webinars, helping investors understand the many benefits of good property investment. So over to you, Mr. Mark.
Hi, thank you very much. I think somebody needs to do my slides because I can't do it. I think Sushant is going to share the screen.
I'll try to do that.
Right?
Yeah,
if you could just do that. I'm really sorry. Slight technical difficulties. It's probably because it's raining in London, but you know, it's the summer, so that's what we have all the time. How are you getting on, Sushant?
Mayank, you can just help.
I'll just do that.
Mayank, please help
Mayank?
Sushant.
Yeah, I'm on it, sir.
Mayank, just a second. Mayank? Can you share the
In
screen?
fact, Mark, today
Yeah, the rights are already with you. I believe you can just check once.
it
Are
is
you able to
heavily
do it?
boring.
I'm just doing that. Wait a sec.
Yeah, you could see your mobile screen now.
Okay. Wait, let me just.
And you need to make it in a landscape mode.
Wait a second. I'm just trying to get the presentation straight away. Can you see that?
Yeah, you can just
You need to make
tilt
it
the phone horizontally.
landscape.
Yeah. That's fine.
That's fine.
Better.
You can kind of see it. Yeah.
Oops.
It's okay. Oh dear. It's not great. It's okay.
Wait, it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay, that's perfect. So
Yeah.
so I'll be brief. I'm going to talk for about 12-15 minutes. And as the gentleman just said, I'm Mark von Grunter. I'm a director of Benham & Reeves based in London. And I'm just going to talk today on the London property market and give an update and what we're seeing and what we're doing. So London is returning to normality, and globally they are too. And as I said, I'm going to do an update on the market and why London's a good place to invest. So as an agent, we're working fully from our offices, seeing things from the perspective of developers, investors, tenants, and landlords around the world. So I think it gives us a good place to give you an update. And giving you some context, Benham & Reeves have been established in London property for over 60 years now. We have 16 branches across London, 8 internationally, including 3 in India, 1 in Delhi, 1 in Bangalore, and 1 in Mumbai. And we help clients with a one-stop service. We're more of an investor's agent in that we're unique in that our India offices are on hand not only to sell properties, but to support clients and investors through the life cycle of property ownership. And today we manage about 3,000 properties in London, and we let about 4,000 in total. So very briefly on what Benham & Reeves do. Well, in a word, we do everything property related. That starts with investment advice on what and where people want to buy. We do the handover and snagging, so people don't have to come all the way from India or from wherever they are to see the property. We do that for you. We deal with furnishing, refurbishment, any works that are needed in the property. We deal with lettings, property management. We deal with the property even if you use the property for any issues that go on, any maintenance. And also we do tax returns, because if you're renting a property, if you own it as an investment in London, then you still have to, whether you have any tax to pay or not, you still have to do a tax return. And we do everything in-house. So nothing is ever subcontracted. So we never get let down and don't have to let clients down. So turning to what's actually been happening in London, when COVID hit, the London property market froze. Demand for rental properties fell by 55% in March, and there was a drop of 70% in buyer inquiries. But over the last couple of months, as restrictions on agents have relaxed, the market's reopened, lots has been happening. Demand for rentals and sales is now above pre-COVID levels. And as a business, we're receiving an average of over 8% more inquiries than we did pre-COVID. July was an incredibly busy month for us. We let more homes this July than we did in 2019. And interesting stats are 65% were rented within 5% of the asking rate, because a lot of people think we're only renting because prices have dropped. 50% were for longer than a year. So that again shows commitment to the London market from tenants, people coming to move here. People aren't thinking about Brexit anymore and having to leave the UK. And in fact, 10% were for 3 years or more. So it just shows the stability of the London market. And the UK's biggest property portal, Rightmove, they just reported a post-lockdown boom with record levels of buyer activity. In fact, they've just seen the busiest month in 10 years, with the highest number of sales agreed and the highest number of properties coming to the market. Incredible, because that's in a decade we've seen such a massive increase this last month. And if sales continue at this rate, supported by the low mortgage rate, then prices will rise much faster than predicted. Borrowing has never been cheaper, and that's because of COVID-19, with Bank of England base rates now at 0.1%, And unlike the financial crisis of 2008, banks are now fully capitalized and they want to lend. Meanwhile, developers are now offering good discounts. Many have completed units which they need to sell in a buyer's market. So there are good deals to be had. And the biggest incentive of them all is the UK government has recently announced a temporary stamp duty holiday. And on the first £500,000 of all property sales until 31st of March 2021, there's zero stamp duty. This means a home buyer, even if you're an investor, you save this money, but a home buyer completing on a property priced at £500,000 will save £15,000 in stamp duty. Additionally, from April 21, there's going to be an additional overseas buyer stamp duty of 2%. So for people that buy now and complete before April on a £500,000 property, they'll save £25,000, made up of £15,000 stamp and £10,000 overseas additional stamp duty for non-residents. And while that's a great incentive, let's recap on why London is such a great place to invest. Well, simply because London's property market is bulletproof. It's proved time after time that it's an extremely resilient city, be it in the face of recession, terrorism, or even illness as we see now. Property has always been seen as the safe haven, and London continues to stand out as the world capital city. If you just look at the moment, what's happening within the instability that's going on in Hong Kong at the moment, there has been so much increase in buyers, not just inquiries of buyers from Hong Kong buying into the London market because they know their money and their asset is safe. So looking at the reasons why London works as the world's capital city. So the first is business. There's been significant post-Brexit investment from international giants like Bloomberg, McKinsey, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Norway's sovereign fund. Second is finance. London has the highest concentration of financial and professional service firms around the world. Number three is tech. London has a very strong tech sector, which people don't realize actually. There's Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Snapchat have all announced new headquarters in London. And last year, £10.1 billion was invested into London through the tech sector. More people work in fintech, that's financial tech, in London than Silicon Valley and New York. The fourth reason is education. London is obviously a very well-renowned leading academic hub, and is consistently ranked as the world's top student city. Incredibly, there are 450,000 overseas students studying in the UK, which contribute £20 billion to the UK economy. And that only gets stronger and stronger every year as more people invest. And these people being educated here, these students, a lot of them rent in the market. The fifth reason is the rental market. 1/3, so 1 in 3 London households live in private rented accommodation today. And that's the biggest shift that I've seen in my 25 years working in the market. But it's predicted to increase even further, with PwC forecasting that by 2025, 60%, so that's 6 out of 10 London households will be renting by then. Then the sixth and final reason is the economy. The UK is the 6th largest economy in the world. London's economic growth is double the rest of the UK, and things are only going to get a whole lot better with the completion of the Crossrail project. And at Benham & Reeves, we are optimistic because this is a market with strong, sound, long-term financial fundamentals. COVID is a crisis with financial implications, but it's not driven by finance, with the banks being fully capitalized now. And most of all, this crucially is important. It's crucial to get some context at a time like this. If you look at what's happened, never in London's many centuries of history has there been a crisis from which markets and house prices have not bounced back. If you look here, whether you look at the Spanish flu of 1918, the Great Depression, the stock market crash of 1987, 9/11, the credit crunch, or even Brexit. So I'm now going to give some examples of the kind of returns we've been able to achieve for our clients over the years. So look at the next slide. If you look at this property, you're going to have to click for me, Sushan. So if you look at this property, Notting Hill, it was bought in Notting Hill. Okay, it's going quite fast. Notting Hill was bought £460,000 in 2014. Its current value is £630,000 with an annual rent of £26,500. That's a gross rental yield of 5.76%. There's no finance. You've returned on your money. You've got a good return on cash with 36.9%. But if you take finance, and we recommend everybody in the London market takes finance, you've seen a return on cash of 123%. That's in central London. If you take Tooting to the southwest, again, you've seen similar, if not stronger increases from 2015. The value has increased. And you've seen, if you took a loan, you've seen finance at 70%. You've seen a return on your cash of 161%. And that's only in a 5-year period. If you go to the east in Stratford, again, a 2-bedroom apartment bought for £365,000, again in 2015. Today, it's worth $585,000. 200% if you took out finance on your cash investment. And then if you look at Ealing, again, it's a smaller unit. It's in the west of London, £280,000 in 2012. 8 years on, you've seen a good 60% increase on your cash if you didn't get finance. But with finance, you've got over 200% return on your cash investment. And the final one is in northwest London. It's a 2-bedroom flat. It's almost doubled in value. And so therefore you've seen an 80% return on your cash if you didn't get finance. But with finance, you've got 266% return on your cash investment. And these are just some random examples throughout the whole of the city, from the centre to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north, showing you the average returns that you can return by buying a property and getting finance in the London market. But it's very important to target your investment. London is a single word, but within it, there are actually 32 different boroughs, different cultures, and different property profiles. And there have been some property investment hotspots recently created, especially with Crossrail, which is now called the Elizabeth Line, which will dramatically reduce travel times and increase London's rail capacity by 10%. But a combination of low prices, higher yields and greater capital appreciation mean that we now look for investments outside Zone 1 with a big focus on regeneration areas and closeness to good transport. So this brings me to something that we are strongly recommending at the moment, and that's a development in Hayes Village, which is West London's brand new development with modern new homes with fantastic connections into central London because of Crossrail. Most apartments, as you can see, have got balconies or terraces, and there's a residence gym and communal gardens on site. House prices in this area have increased by 32% over the last 5 years, and we expect a further boost when Crossrail opens. It's super convenient, as I said. You can reach Heathrow Airport in 5 minutes, and central London is in under 20 minutes. In fact, we're so confident in this scheme that we're actually offering a guaranteed 5% return on your money for 3 years. Plus, of course, there'll be capital appreciation to give you a very healthy ROI, which we estimate will be anywhere from 15 to 20% a year if you take out a loan. Plus, we'll be throwing in, including a free interior design furniture package to make the property really stand out. And with prices here starting from only 3 crores, I think this is a really good entry-level opportunity to get into London market. Our local office with multilingual teams will liaise you in your own time zone, meaning you can purchase, let and manage a London property from your living room in India. As I said earlier, London is always seen as the safe haven. As I said, if you look at what's happening in Hong Kong at the moment, and the market is fully back in swing. And I firmly believe this is a time of opportunity and indeed a great time to invest because of the low interest rates, the discounts on offer, the strong rental demand, the weak pound, and the stamp duty holiday. And this is a great quote from Warren Buffett. Widespread fear is your friend as an investor because it serves up bargain purchases. Whether we're talking about socks or stocks, I like buying quality merchandise when it's marked down. Well, there's never been a time in history that London property didn't bounce back from being marked down. So that's the end of my talk. I hope that's not too long. And if anybody has any questions, you can easily come back and contact me, or you can contact our team in India. We'd love to help you. Even if you're just starting the journey and thinking about investment, then we can give you some tips on what you need to invest, how much you need to invest. And I think you'll agree, with a property you can buy from as little as 3 crores, that's cash. So if you get 70% finance, it's 1 crore. It means you're enabled to invest into the London market for a very decent level of money, a low level of money, and see how well it can proceed. So thank you very much, and thank you for listening. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mark, for the presentation. And it was indeed, you have covered lots of things. There are 2 questions which I have just got from the audience. One is what is the current situation with regards to investment through REIT? Is it still safe?
You can invest through a REIT, but the thing about investing through a REIT is you've got someone else managing it for you, and it's an investment. Shashank, maybe you want to get rid of your slides.
Yeah.
Shashank, maybe you can. But if you invest through a REIT, it's an investment trust. So you have no control over your asset. You're doing it purely and simply as buying shares. And the honest advantage of buying it in your own name is you have full control over it. Yes, it's very safe through a REIT, but it always depends on who the manager is. And if you can have good managers, bad managers. And so I always, the only time I recommend an investment trust or a REIT is if people want to do student accommodation. That's a different area. But if you want to do pure residential, then you should do it in your own name and buy a property in your name. You can see it, you can touch it, you can stay in it, and it's easy to sell. Remember, London's a liquid market. It's not like some places around the world where it's easy to get in. It's really hard to get out. London is incredibly easy to exit. I mean, you can't exit within a week, but if you need your money, it takes on average 3 to 6 months and you get your money out.
Yeah. Thank you. The next question is, which will be the best location for investment in London in terms of rental returns?
Okay, so that's a great question, and I did tip on it in my talk. Is if you want to get the highest yield, you want on the far outskirts of London, and you can see yields of 6%, 7% yield if you're lucky, and maybe even going outside of London to some of the secondary cities like Birmingham or Manchester or Liverpool. The problem with very high yield is you tend to have quite low capital growth. So my honest advice is do not focus solely on yield. I had a client recently, well, it was 6 months ago, he bought a property with a 10% yield. He bought it 5 years ago. Today, it's worth less than he paid for it. And he's struggling to get out. So I think it's much more important. Yes, you need a good yield, and you can get 4 to 5% yield, like the example I gave in Hayes, but you will get capital growth as well. Remember, you pay tax on the income anyway. So we always focus on the capital gain linked and linked to the rental income. So you get both. And that's how you'll get 15 to 20% ROI.
Oh, thank you very much, Mark. I think this is the questions we have as of now.
Okay,
if something
perfect.
else comes up, we'll definitely come back to you. Thank you very much for the presentation and your time.
Thank you.
So now I would like to invite Mr. Sahil Kapoor, National Head Franchisee for 360 Degree. First of all, Sahil, thank you very much for being so patient. It is almost 2 hours you have been listening. Thank you very much for that.
I think I joined at the wrong time.
No, right, perfect. So just to give everybody a brief about Sahil, Sahil is an MBA in sales and marketing with more than a decade of experience in real estate sector. He has been internationally awarded for his contribution in the field of franchise consultancy. He has got a 6 Sigma Green Belt certification by BSI and is also certified by Redco Institute of Real Estate Management. Being a real estate professional, Sahil believes in continuous learning and knowledge upgradation. He has successfully completed few international courses like Accredited Buyers Representative ABR and Certified Residential Specialist CRS, Sahil is also the ex-Honorable Secretary of the Association of Property Professionals, which is the Delhi NCR chapter of National Association of Realtors, India. In his previous assignment, he was responsible for setting up the Building RE Max network in India. So I present to you Mr. Sahil Kapoor.
Thank you so much, Naveen-ji, for such an elaborate introduction. I've been requested to talk about the national perspective as far as international real estate purchase is concerned. Now, we have been dealing in the market for almost 1.5 odd decades, and we've been working in markets like Dubai, we've been working in markets like Abu Dhabi, Thailand, Malaysia, and recently we have picked up Indonesia as well, because there are a lot of unconventional markets which are getting active as far as investments from Indians is concerned into the foreign land. Now, I'm going to be talking about 4 different sections in my discussion. First of all, I'm going to be talking about why do Indians invest abroad. Most of the people, the panelists here, they would know of the reasons why Indians invest abroad. But for a lot of our audience, let me just list out each one of them. Maybe you could find out a reason which probably resonates with your existing situation right now, and you might think of investing money abroad. The second section I'm going to be talking about is why now. Why today is the right time if you're considering to buy any kind of international property. Number 3, I'm going to be talking about who's buying. What is the profile of people who are majorly buying properties abroad over the last decade or 2. And last, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the challenges which you should keep in mind and the precautions which you should take before investing abroad. Now, one of the first reasons why anybody would invest in a foreign asset is diversification. See, nobody wants to put all their eggs in one basket. And one of the biggest reasons why any investor would want to invest in a foreign land is that he has already bought enough properties back in the home country, right? Nobody buys the first property abroad. So there is a particular profile of people that we need to get in touch with. We have to get in touch with the HNIs, we have to get in touch with the ultra HNIs, and there are some other groups that we need to get in touch with. Those who are looking to permanently move abroad, right? Those who are looking for a lot of immigration opportunities, and those people who have some business in the foreign land, and those people who have their kids or children who are studying in a foreign land. Now, these are various different kinds of people who are right now investing abroad, and diversification is one of the key areas. So if you as a real estate consultant, you have clients, you have buyers who have been buying a lot of Indian properties from you, you definitely can pitch a foreign asset to them as one of their diversification in terms of their portfolio. Then one of the biggest reasons why foreign properties become lucrative for an Indian investor is high rental yields. We know practically as far as residential properties in India is concerned, I mean, the rental yields are somewhere around 2 to 3%. Residential real estate is still not considered as an investment in India. So we consider definitely commercial real estate as an investment. But due to the Corona situation, the COVID situation, I believe for the next 6 odd months or at least a year, the rental returns in commercial would remain on the lower side. So this probably could be the right time wherein you can look at a foreign asset in a country which could be maybe less impacted by Corona situation, and you could look at investing over there, because Indian commercial real estate is going to be definitely negatively impacted for at least good 12 odd months because of this whole situation. Then there are certain tax benefits that you get. I'm not a tax expert, so I would request you definitely get in touch with the right chartered accountant, get in touch with the right consultant, and he would let you know a lot of tax benefits as well if you can invest money abroad. There is a lot of DTA signed with a lot of countries that we have, so you might get advantage of that as well. Then in markets like especially Southeast Asia and even in Dubai, wherein people travel very frequently, people are buying holiday homes. So in cities like Pattaya and cities like Bali, there are a lot of holiday homes that you can buy. You can buy condominiums, which are used as, they use a term called condotel, right? It is a condo which is used as a hotel. So that is something that you can buy. There is a timeshare, which a lot of developers do offer. There is a fixed guaranteed return, which a lot of developers do offer. So markets like Thailand, markets like Indonesia, markets like Dubai. I remember DMAC was selling suites in Radisson Hotel with a fixed return. So you can consider those options as well. That could be one of the holiday home options that you can buy when investing in a foreign land. Then status symbol is of course one of the top reasons why somebody would want to buy abroad as well. And looking at the unconventional territories like Thailand, like Bali, you can invest actually at a very low ticket size as well. So do not think as a consultant or as a buyer that I might have to shell out crores of rupees to invest in a property abroad. No, in a market like Thailand, you can probably start your investment as low as 40 odd lakh rupees. Now in 40 lakh rupees in most of the top 5-6 Indian cities, you cannot afford to buy real estate. So in Delhi, in Bombay, in Bangalore, you cannot afford to buy real estate at 40 odd lakh rupees. But you definitely have options in markets like Thailand. Of course, I mean, that could be used as a holiday home, as an investment property, or something in which you get a fixed return back over there. Then permanent residency, immigration, opportunities like Cyprus, Europe has been offering that. And if somebody is willing to move abroad, these are opportunities which people can consider. And one of the biggest reasons is Indian real estate, in comparison to certain organized countries of the Western part of the world, or even in Southeast Asia, it is still not very transparent. So when you are investing in a foreign land, you are assured of a certain quality, you are assured of certain amount of transparency, you are assured of a clean deal. And that becomes another reason why people feel that, yes, it will be safe and secure to invest in a foreign property. Then cheaper mortgage is one of the other reasons, although there have been debates in the previous, I would say, discussion, whether RBI permits you to take mortgage on a foreign property or not. So that's something that you can check with your tax consultant, or even with your real estate consultant, whether that is allowed, whether that is possible. But these are some of the main reasons why people invest in property abroad. Now, why now? One of the biggest reasons is because of the COVID situation. There have been businesses, there have been industries which have been impacted, right? A lot of people are thinking of, when I say a lot of people, I'm talking about a very small percentage of Indian population. But since we have so many people, I mean, that small percentage also becomes a very huge number. A lot of people are considering to move completely abroad. So this is one time which you can use as an opportunity, and think of probably investing in a foreign land and use that as a mode or a situation to permanently settle abroad. Then developers are offering a lot of investor friendly payment terms. So real estate market is not only impacted in India, it has been impacted worldwide. I don't think any country across the world has been left without the impact of COVID-19. So developers all across the world, definitely they're cash strapped and they need some liquidity to come in, and they would be more than happy if you sit across the table to offer you some sweet deals which you can take advantage of. So if you're thinking of investing abroad, this could be the right time to get that sweet deal out of the developer. Because once the situation gets better, definitely the developer would not want to offer the same price again. So whether Indian real estate, whether foreign real estate, this could be the right time as an investor. You can use that opportunity in the adversity you can find out. Then Indian real estate, in comparison to any other foreign property, trust me, especially markets like Bangalore, Delhi, and Mumbai, the price is almost the same. I mean, when you compare Mumbai or Delhi with Dubai, or when you compare it with even London, when you compare it with even US real estate market, European real estate market, the prices are sometimes even similar, or I would say in cities like Mumbai, the price could be even higher. So price is definitely not the criteria that, okay, no, foreign real estate could be very expensive. The price is almost at par with the top Indian cities. And in certain Southeast Asian markets, the price could be even lower than the Indian real estate. And you get better infrastructure in a lot of foreign land. So that's an added asset and advantage available to you. So that could be a few reasons why you should consider buying foreign real estate right now. Now, who are these people buying? As I said in the beginning, there are business owners who have business ties in these foreign countries, and they are frequent travelers because of their business to these foreign destinations. They definitely would want to invest in a foreign land. And that's the reason people invest in properties in Dubai, people invest in properties in London, because a lot of Indian-based businessmen, they have businesses based out of London, businesses based out of Dubai, and even Southeast Asia right now. So anywhere wherein Indian business owners have strong business ties, you can look at that particular situation and tie up these business owners for investing abroad. Then we have a lot of professionals who are top professionals in a lot of multinational organizations, maybe because of job prospects, maybe because of certain professional prospects. They might be wanting to settle abroad. Then we definitely have property investors. As I said, they would not want to put all their eggs in one basket. And if they've invested a lot of properties here in India, back in the home country, they definitely would not mind investing in one foreign asset. Could be for a status symbol reason, could be for maybe diversification, could be for maybe high rental yields, or could be purely because of a holiday home kind of a purpose. Then HNIs, ultra HNIs, and one of the biggest section of people that you should target is people who have children studying abroad. I mean, it's become a very prominent trend for top professional business owners, industrialists to send their children abroad for masters, bachelors. Now, these are people you can definitely target when they have their children studying abroad, rather than letting them stay in a hostel or maybe a rented apartment. You can actually pitch them to purchase real estate and maybe sell it back when their children are coming back home and earn some appreciation on that. Now, foreign real estate always is lucrative, and along with the rental yields, you get a lot of fair, transparent business deals as well. But again, every opportunity comes with certain precautions which you definitely have to take. One of the biggest thing, what you need to do is always go through a consultant, and a consultant who has a track record of dealing in that country. Somebody who can tell you about the local laws, somebody who can tell you about the investment laws, somebody who can tell you about the laws back home. Because when you are investing abroad, you do not have to comply of the laws of only that country. You have to comply the laws back home in your home country as well. So you are actually in between two different laws of two different countries which you have to comply with. One is your home country and one is the foreign land where you're buying. So make sure you consult your chartered accountant, you consult your wealth manager, you consult your good real estate consultant who has a decent track record of dealing with properties over there. And do not consider a cheaper property over value. If you have a better developer, a better reputed developer who's offering you maybe a little expensive property, try and be safe than sorry. And make sure that you go with reputed brands, you go with reputed consultants. There are certain global real estate consultants available in India who are dealing in foreign property. So make sure you go through the right channel, because that's very, very important while risking crores of rupees of your investment in a foreign land, which you cannot see every day. So you have to be very, very cautious about that. And mortgage, again, could be a little bit of a challenge because as per the discussion, even in the previous session, mortgage for a property, if you're buying on a foreign land, that could be a challenge because RBI has some different set of guidelines. So you have to be very, very careful before you're investing abroad. You have to see your liquidity available, and you have to make sure that you have enough money available to probably make the entire payment, and check the mortgage rules and regulations, whether it is in the foreign bank, whether it is with the Indian bank and the RBI accordingly. I think rupee devaluation could be another reason which could push you to buy real estate in a foreign land, because right now the value that you get because of the rupee devaluation, you get some extra benefit of investing in a foreign land. So that's another advantage that you could look at, or probably right now because of the dollar price going so high, it could be a maybe disadvantage at this moment, right? So this is it from my side. Go with the right consultant, go with the right developer, and comply with the laws of both the home country and the foreign country in which you're buying asset. It is lucrative, but do consider certain non-conventional opportunities as well. I mean, it is not only London and Dubai that you have to go for. Now there are markets like Thailand which have opened up, markets like Indonesia which have opened up, which are equally accessible and which are equally buyer friendly, and you can consider those options as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sahil, for giving the presentation. I have got two questions for you. One, sure. I think you have already replied very clearly, so I will put that as later. One question is, how do you perceive the market post-COVID, as most of the developers are under pressure due to the skilled labor is scarce in as per the current situation, and at the same time, they have to follow the RERA mandate to deliver on time, else have to face the legalities.
Right. I think this question is more specific to the Indian real estate market. And this is a different kind of an event right now happening. But still, see, right now, developers are getting back on track. The demand in the country is getting back on track. If you look at the recent reports of Magic Bricks, 99 acres, the number of inquiries have gone up, and people have realized the importance of a home. So without taking much time and talking about Indian real estate scenario, I think this is something that probably I'll leave my details one-to-one, and I can answer that question to the gentleman one-to-one rather than answering it on this forum, which is of foreign real estate.
Sure. The other question, though, you have already replied. They want your advice, basically investment in Indian real estate or international, considering the rental returns. Pricing in India and international real estate in prime location is almost equal, rather more in some cases. I think you have already touched this point. Maybe you want to comment something on
Yes.
this.
See, when you're buying Indian real estate, it's a need-based purchase, right? And if you're buying as a first-time buyer, it's your basic need. And you cannot buy your first property as a foreign property. That's something that nobody would do. Foreign property definitely would be your fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth property that you are going to be buying abroad when you already have enough portfolio, enough money invested in India already. Or for people who are wanting to permanently move abroad, for them it could be maybe they're probably reselling something here and moving completely abroad. So I don't want to compare both markets. Both markets depends entirely on your own situation, right? I mean, do you want to live in India or do you want to live in a foreign land? Then this question would be answered better. So it depends on your own personal situation, whether foreign property is more lucrative for you or Indian real estate is more lucrative for you.
Yeah. I think thank you very much, Sahil, for this. If there are any other questions, I think we'll get in touch with you. And maybe your details also we'll share with the attendees. Thank you once again for being with us today. And it was almost 2.5 hours, I think we have,
Yes.
been with us. Thank you very much. And
Thank
we
you,
look forward to have,
yeah,
we look forward to have another session soon with you on this.
Thank you so much, Naveen ji. And I'll take the liberty of probably signing off as it's been a while, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Have a good day.
So now I would like to invite Mr. Anupam Saxena, the Associate Dean and Director for RICS School of Built Environment, Amenity University. So just to give you a brief about Mr. Anupam, Anupam ji brings a unique mix of industry and academics, combining a rich, almost 35 years of experience working in IT, real estate, and currently in a senior academic role as the Associate Dean and Director of the leading Built Environment School in the country today, RICS School of Built Environment at Amity University, Noida. Anupam ji started his career with international trade between India and USSR, while still pursuing his master's in computer engineering from there. Having come back from USSR, he revolutionized the Indian computer market by making computers really affordable for the common man. Having spent a decade computerizing the country, he then moved his focus to IT parks in India and was involved with a new concept of IT industrial townships in a city within the city concept. The first of them was developed in the joint venture with Government of Gujarat as InfoCity Gandhinagar, followed by another InfoCity at Mohali and an IT SEZ. Having led his life as a CEO for over 15 years during his various ventures, he then joined academics to share his experiences and learnings with the youngsters and towards helping the country build a strong foundation based on knowledge. So, Mr. Anupam Saxena.
Thank you, Naveen ji. That was a very kind introduction. I would just like to share my presentation. So I hope my screen is visible now.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Thank you so much. So I'm supposed to be talking about education and research in international real estate sector, and as I start, I'm very happy actually to be in this event today. Almost like 20 years back, we wouldn't have even thought of having such a thing. and and moreover having this in an online mode. But I can tell you, sir, I started selling EB5 and international properties as early as in 2010 in India. And at that time, people were actually not able to understand what am I really offering them. EB5, a citizenship, green card to US while investing in a property or something in US. These were things which people were finding it very difficult and hard to understand. But this has drastically changed over the last 10 years. And as we can see, the information technology, the way it has flown and the way it has developed, and the penetration in India, leading to a lot of globalization of India and Indian firms, has resulted in a altogether different India. And the reason why we are finding so many developers and so many people talking about international real estate today, sitting in India and offering properties to Indians to invest abroad, all this has changed drastically over the last 10 years. And I'm just going to take you through what is happening in terms of people traveling to India and Indians traveling abroad to have people invest in India. So all this cross country investments which are happening have actually given a way to a much larger industry which is developing, which is the international real estate. This probably started, maybe 2 or 3 decades back, when countries like US and UK and Canada had started offering the green card or the citizenship or the residency options to people who were investing in a business or people who were investing in a property or something like that was happening. So people were actually being pulled to invest into a country by virtue of some benefits being offered. US and Canada have been leading, and even their passports are much wanted passports today in the world. But there are almost like close to 25 programs which are currently running by different countries, offering people citizenships, residency permits, and all that. Also, what is being seen is that the investments from China and India in properties abroad has actually gone up drastically. So whereas at one point in time, Canadians used to be the major investors in properties in America, this has been taken over by the Chinese, and also Indians are very close to now coming into a second position. Also, even in US, when we talk about properties in US, the non-resident foreigners are major buyers of properties in US today. So this industry actually is going to be claimed to be almost about $100 billion over the next 5 years, and that's a big number for a cross-country investments where people have not, people are not there, not living, yet investing into properties. Even the interest of the more developed nations, so-called, wanting now to buy properties outside their countries. So Americans and British and other people wanting to invest in other countries is a new phenomena which is also being observed. Indians have really become active, and Indians particularly have a great liking for Dubai because of the high rental yields and all what has been spoken of today, and the ease of buying and all that. So in Dubai, the Indians now stand second after the Emiratis in terms of the investments that are being done there in Dubai. So international real estate is something that has emerged now as an industry in itself. So we used to have real estate, now we talk about international real estate. And international real estate is not only about residential properties today, which largely we have been hearing of today in today's session, but it is about also the commercial properties, the retail properties, the industrial or the logistics spaces which are high in demand in various countries, particularly when we talk about the Indian market. You know that commercial office, investments in India have been going up like anything over the last 2 years. The commercial space requirement was going up like anything. Thanks to COVID, it has come to a standstill now, but certainly is going to go up again. So when we talk about international real estate as an industry upcoming, then we are talking about all the four options which are commercial, retail, residential, and industrial properties, which are in demand and are going to remain in demand. We see top of the line developers and we see top of the line brokers in sessions like what you have organized today, offering these properties to buyers both in India and abroad. So international real estate has now taken shape of the industry, and in this kind of a scenario, what we have to look at is that real estate has always been a very complex kind of a business, mainly because real estate is one of the high cost, high involvement kind of products. People don't take decisions on buying real estate, sipping a cup of coffee, or the way it is being presented, by many people that, things are happening out of a bedroom or a living room. Yes, Indians particularly are very, very particular in how they would buy properties. There are cultural issues, there are many issues. So when we talk about international real estate, I think what is important to understand is a lot of difficulties which are there while buying real estate internationally. First and foremost is the areas and the measurements. You may be talking about something in China, and the areas may be coming in square meters. You may be talking about something in Kenya, and the areas may be talked about in square feet. So you may be talking about somewhere something else, and you may have different kinds of dimensions and different kinds of metrics being used. That's the biggest difficulty when buying real estate, not only internationally but even in India. Because when in India you talk about the metrics again, and suppose I ask you, Naveen ji, that please go and buy 1 bigha in Gujarat, you'll buy something like 3,200 square yards. If I say buy 1 bigha in UP, you'll buy something like 900 square yards. So even that kind of uniformity is not there within a country. So talking about uniformity of standards and metrics world over, then we still have a long distance to go. And this is something that particularly the developers like who are exhibiting their properties today in exhibitions like yours and other exhibitions, when they come to India selling these properties, they will have to become particular that they would have to look at what are those standard metrics they can adopt. Secondly, we had a lot of discussion about the laws of the land. So every country has different kinds of laws available, particularly when it comes to property and real estate. Financial practices again can be very different. You can be carrying a lakh of dollars in your bag in cash and declare that in America, but you can't declare that in India. So financial practices would differ. Cultural differences are a major hurdle when doing cross country kind of sales. Market practices, technical jargon, there are a lot of things which come in the way of for any buyer to take an educated decision. So coming from education background, I believe in people being able to take an educated decision for everything. So there comes then a need for education in international real estate. When you talk about the National Association of Realtors, then that has programs. When you talk about RICS, then it has programs. So there are educators, there are people who are educating, and particularly what goes into education when you're educating somebody on international real estate. Like I said, first and foremost, the most important aspect which is ambiguous, which brings in ambiguity, is the property measurements. So the metrics are not common. Recently, I was being told by one of my friends they had ordered furniture to a company, a large consignment to a company in Turkey. And as per the requirement, this Turkish company was supposed to send the drawings of the furniture back to the client in US. Now, the Turkish company sent the drawings back in feet and inches, whereas the designer in America was expecting drawings in meters and centimeters. So now when those 30, 40 drawings of different furniture reached America, they were immediately rejected and all the hard work got wasted because this designer wanted the drawings to be submitted in meters and centimeters and not in feet and inches. So this is one major issue, and which is why there is something called the International Property Measurement Standards. This particular thing was prepared by a coalition of almost like 80 different professionals and not-for-profit organizations from around the world who work together under the flagship of RICS to bring up this and this common standard measurement standard then is something which is being practiced by many developers and many companies across the world. But like I said, when coming to India or going to any country for that matter, if this IPMS will be followed, then certainly things would be more transparent and people would have a better understanding of what is on the offer and can better visualize. So IPMSs are already available for industrial buildings, commercial buildings, retail and residential buildings. So I would suggest developers who are here today or who are traveling all over the world to start using something like an IPMS, get themselves educated on this so that they can have more transparent discussions with the clients across the world, and certainly it is going to lead to the investors confidence and increased stability in terms of the sale and purchase. Second important aspect, as we have also seen today during the discussions so far, is the law of the land. So law of the land is a very important aspect, and people who are dealing cross country, cross borders, they should have a good knowledge of this particular thing. So land, real estate, transactions and recording of transactions, documentation process, the financial implications of the various things like have been already spoken in today's earlier sessions, mortgages and everything what people were talking about. It all ultimately ends up in how well do you know the laws of the land where you intend to either sell or you intend to attract the people. You have to be very familiar so that you can guide your customers in a more educated manner than just by going by I think so is not the solution. You have to be very particular in terms of giving the specific answers which relate to the local laws, bylaws. So what happens if I buy a property today? I have capital gains over the years. Do I have to pay a tax here in this country or don't I have to pay a tax? Uh, Everything has to be something which people should be well aware of while proposing any kind of properties. So they need to get educated on this as well. Then language barriers, we talk about language barriers not only in terms of the spoken language of the country, which is important to learn when you are going cross country, but also the local body language. So like when coming to India and talking to Indians, we have this very famous Indian head bobble. So people are never able to understand what are, doing like this or doing like that means, because in most countries this is yes, but in India this could not be yes. So this is something also which needs to be looked into, and we have to understand how people's body language can be understood while proposing some things to them. Uh, some examples here. Crossing legs, for example. It's very common when I see Americans and when I'm in America, I really don't mind people putting up their legs, showing their shoes. But yes, in India and many other countries, particularly in Asia, Middle East, this could be taken very offensively. The usage of hands, for example, when we talk, we in American would use hands very freely, but when you do it in front of a Japanese, that could be again very offensive to the Japanese. Looking somebody into the eye can be offensive or can be the way of life. It all depends on which country you are in. Even the usage of lips, and this culture of, even coming forward and greeting a lady by kissing on the cheek is something which people would probably get offended in India or Middle Eastern countries, but they are a way of life in many Western countries. So the knowledge of all these things also they go into the learning which one has to do before going to a country offering your properties. The local culture, I said also again. While selling properties, I've seen there's a major factor which comes into play, and that is trust. How much trust you are having on the person from whom you are buying. In India, we may want to trust our elders for taking a decision. Somewhere in America, they may want to trust on the agreement. Somewhere else, there may be another thing that could bring in trust. But you have to understand what is going to make people have trust. So, like traveling in India, a foreigner and talking to investors alone may not be able to generate that kind of a trust, which he can if he has a local person going along with him, because the local person can add to the trust factor in a much better manner than that foreigner alone. So, see, this is a complex product. Like I said, real estate is a difficult thing to sell, and people who are able to sell, I really admire them because they are able to sell through their eyes, and people buy into a vision what is being shown by the developer or the broker, even when the things are not on the ground. So, being a complex product, we as a school, the RICS School of Built Environment, took this initiative. RICS is a 152-year-old organization which has brought the standards and ethics and compliances to the real estate and built environment industry. We started in 2013 in Amity University with the first school called RICS School of Built Environment, and we offer the education programs which are there, right from BBA to MBA to PhD, and also programs for the working professionals, including corporate trainings and all. Our programs are accredited by RICS and PMI, which are the top two leading accreditations for all construction and built environment education across the globe. So this is what we do, and we educate people. So I would welcome people who are going cross country, cross borders. We would be happy to provide education to the teams and trainings to the teams so that they can do and perform better. So that was my time. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take any questions if there are.
Thank you, Anupamji, for such a elaborated presentation you have made. I think a lot of people must have gained a lot of knowledge out of this. As of now, I don't see any question which has come, but definitely if something comes up, we will get in touch with you, sir.
Certainly.
So I once again thank you and all other panelists for sparing their time today and being with us. And we look forward to have many more such sessions with you all. Thank you very much. And I request, if you have time, visit the virtual exhibition which is going on, which is on till 7 p.m. today. So if you can go there, and if you have any suggestions for us to improve on that, do let us know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.